3, 2, 1.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Drew, and
this is Brad.
And you are listening to the Unidentified Flying Podcast. Today, we're going to talk mostly about sports, I think.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, do some...
We've been doing all this hard-hitting facts with, random stuff.
Yeah, I guess we're going to talk a bit about journalism.
Yeah, I think we always end up
as
in
it relates
some way.
to sports.
Yeah.
And maybe some stuff outside of sports. But first, let's handle our contact details. First contact.
There you go.
So let's see. UFPpodcast@gmail.com, at UFP on Twitter, and Unidentified Flying Podcast on Facebook.
I think it's just muscle memory
Yep.
at this point with you. Good job, man.
Yep. I'm a badass.
I don't know if there's any follow-up
I
as far as... I think if there's anything, we talked about Oklahoma liquor laws and stuff last episode.
Yep.
And one of the people we did kind of quote as having an opinion on the matter because he ran Edmund Wind, Vance Gregory. His daughter follows us on Twitter. His name Maddie Gregory. She did message us and say that it is why it has to go to vote. It's because it is written into the state constitution. So lawmakers can't just hey, let's just make a law and change it. It's because they've got to formulate a plan and then we've all got to say yay or nay.
Gotcha.
In November. So that's really it as far as some other stuff we're going to cover in just whole episodes coming up. So
Okay. Cool. Well, let's dive right into this, man. You've got all the information here, so I'm co-pilot.
just along for the ride.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about Cameron Payne
Yep.
in the past.
Yep.
And that was before the trade deadline. And we kind of talked about like how he is a rookie and just the eye test, like when we were playing Golden State and he was, he's the primary ball handler, I think, off the bench, being the point, I'm not just saying point guard. There's a difference between he's the backup point guard and you're the primary ball handler.
Yeah.
Like there can be multiple primary ball handlers off the bench and things like Dion, he's a ball handler. He's a guard. Got some
And I guess
moves.
we
He
should
can drive
say
to the basket.
we're going to be talking pretty much exclusively about the Thunder.
Yeah.
I
right,
said
for right
sports,
now.
but it's really the Thunder for the most part.
Um,
We may get off into the weeds a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
no, you're fine.
bring up your train of thought there.
Cameron Payne, he was the backup point guard for quite a while, and he kind of put
Where did we
DJ
draft him
Gustin.
from? Where was he out of college?
That's a good question. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Okay.
I know
Yeah.
it's
I'll
we
look
cut
it
him towards the ass end of the draft.
Was it?
Because that's where we are.
Yeah, true.
You got to think we took Steven Adams at 12, and that was only because we had traded James Harden, and that's a whole subject on its own. Anyway, Cameron Payne, we kind of talked about how he was
Murray State.
Murray State.
Yeah.
Where the hell's that at?
I was about to say, I'm about to find out.
I've looked that up before.
It's
and
in
I'm like,
Kentucky.
Okay.
So there you go.
Just go to Kentucky, man. That's where that's where all the badasses are at.
Yeah, apparently.
They only got somebody on their team, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was before the trade deadline, and just watching him play, he was trying to kind of go one-on-one and, take things upon himself and, drive to the basket, whatever. Kind of be, like how Russell Westbrook just, he's coming up with the ball and just flies in there.
Hero mode.
Yeah, and quite frankly, he can.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook can do it.
Cameron Payne cannot, and that's not to say that he's a bad player. It's just he's
maybe
rookie.
eventually he could. I don't know.
Yeah,
Who knows?
and not to say I also want to kind of preface the fact that we said he can't be relied upon. It's not the fact that I think he can't play at all.
Yeah, no. It's just he's a rookie.
He's a rookie, and maybe he needs to find a role.
Yeah,
and fit into that role. Like I was talking to you the other day about Portland. We were playing Portland Trailblazers, and we trotted this lineup out that was just it was all guards. It was Randy Foye, I think Russell Westbrook, Cameron Payne, and Cameron Payne hadn't played in a while because we had traded for Randy Foye, and we kind of was doing a little experimenting with that, and everyone started wondering, well, what happened to Cameron Payne? Why isn't he playing? And, that whole argument, and I'm just we kind of already talked, us in particular, we already kind of talked about maybe why.
You specifically said that the one thing you thought we needed to get before the trade deadline was a veteran point guard.
And that's exactly what we
went and got.
And you can debate, Like it was a great move as far as like, hey, within that context of, hey, we need a veteran backup point guard. Oh, we went and got him. Oh, plus got a roster spot and saved.
And we freed up a lot of money too.
Yeah,
I think it was like $8 million.
You can also argue the fact that, like, well, we played it safe. We're always like this cheap kind of team, and we don't go out there and make the big splash. That's kind of that kind of plays into the James Harden argument a little bit.
I guess, but man, Cantor was a big pickup when we picked him up.
That too, yeah, you can say that too. And that's been something that's kind of happening lately too. Like he's playing so well, and some people look at like, well, Serge Ibaka, he's on the decline or whatever the hell. He's not having that great of a year. I'm not.
Yeah.
Some
and
of
he's being used differently,
and that's a lot of it.
Yeah,
a lot of people want to say, is he just sucking? Is he declining? Or what you just said is, I relate it to Kevin Love. Kevin Love's an amazing rebounder, but he's basically been put in the realm of, well, he's just a spot-up shooter.
He's been stuck out on the perimeter, basically.
You're not getting any rebounds out there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, look how many threes Ibaka attempts now versus earlier in his
past,
career.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's stuff you just got to figure out. Maybe that's not what they, him or the team or the coaching staff, maybe that's not what they want him to do anyway, but it's just going to be a work in progress. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know if you brought this up. We were kind of just bullshitting the other day, and you brought this up, and I don't know if you intended to bring this up, and if you do, just tell me and we'll hold it. The expectations on Billy Donovan.
Yeah.
How unrealistic they probably are from... I would assume most fans think like, dude, it's championship or bust this year.
Yeah, and in a way it is.
But we'll see.
We definitely have the talent.
We don't know.
It's
only bust if that means like KD and Westbrook are leaving. That's the only reason it's a bust.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that that's necessarily the case. Like you said too, you think KD's probably going to end up signing a 1-year deal because next year the salary cap increases
20%.
Yeah, and
for everybody.
That'll line him up with Westbrook too. And who knows? Maybe they want it together. I don't know. They may want to re-sign together, or they may want to go somewhere else together.
That's the general consensus. And the only problem I have with that is when everyone says that's what's going to happen. Sometimes that's not what happens.
Sure.
So not to say that Kevin Durant's going to leave, but
I mean he could. Hey,
something I told you, I'm like, it'd be just hilarious if he just re-signed this year and was just like, fuck you. Yeah, and he was here with Oklahoma City, and just we all went on, and it was really like, just what was the biggest deal? Non-story ever.
Yeah, yeah. That would be funny.
But
then the big story would be, okay, now Westbrook, what's he going to do?
Oh, yeah, and then fair enough, but that's going to have to do just like this story, play out over the year, and et cetera. And, why would he leave, and what team would he go to, blah, 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 blah. But the reason I kind of bring up Cameron Payne again is that, we have brought him back a little bit, and he's got more playing time. And just the fact that, I just find it kind of amazing where it's just a lot of people covering the team. A lot of what I see is like fan reaction just online and all sorts of places. The fact that we're like, wondering what happened to him and why isn't he playing him? And then, he gets brought back and everyone's just like, woo! They had a huge reaction when I think we were playing at home here the last time. And people just went ape shit because they were like, yeah, finally, fucking better be playing Cameron Payne. Why is, that whole... And that plays into, kind of what we're going to bring up here in a minute. Going back to Billy Donovan, though, I kind of talked with you about like how what really is going to make or break that guy is the final minute of a game.
Yeah.
Or 10 minutes or, maybe even a half. Because we as a team can... I mean, it's blatantly obvious we can run with anybody, even Golden State.
Sure.
We can put up a lead on them. We could put them away if we wanted to. But we don't. And we have these stretches where... This is what was wrong with Scott Brooks, too. Not the fact that, he's very robotic in his rotations. He's like, Serge Ibaka now exits at, 3 minutes into the second quarter because that's what he always does, But Billy Donovan doesn't ever seem to, like, have any source of, like, offensive creativity.
Yeah.
We go these huge stretches where, like, hey, like when the Golden State game or the Clippers game, we're up by X amount of points, big lead, and we just immediately go into hero ball or, some people call it isolation, whatever. And you can put a lot of this on Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. They just go down there and just lob shit up and, it doesn't happen. And we don't call timeout. We don't try to, do anything different. We don't pass it. We don't create. We don't try and drive to the basket, get a foul, fucking anything. Like,
what was it you were telling me? And I was like, that's a good point. The game, I can't remember who it was we were playing. I think it was Golden State, one of the games where we were up very late. Like there was like, I don't know, seconds left, like less than 10 maybe.
Oh yeah,
we inbounds the ball.
Kevin Durant
has it. He gets trapped.
He just lobs it out.
And he just lobs it, and you were like, timeout.
Call fucking timeout.
Yeah, where's the timeout? Where's
Billy? I think we had one.
Yeah, where's Billy Donovan running down the sideline or the down the court or whatever?
Yeah,
being like timeout, timeout. Or where's Kevin Durant going? Time.
Or anybody else on the team.
Yeah, anybody else.
Fucking anybody at this point, dude.
And then we just inbounds it and go from there. But instead, we lose the ball. They tie it. Yeah, I think they tied it there, and then they get another, or they had just tied it. They had just tied it. Or something like that, and we inboundsed it, and we gave them the win there.
Was that in overtime? I can't remember if that was right before.
Yeah, it might have been. Overtime. Yeah, it was something like that.
And that's when Steph Curry lobs up that amazing fucking shot. Yeah, like,
hey, it's another 30-foot or 50-foot.
Poor Robertson's like, I didn't think I had to defend him 50 feet out.
Yeah, which I mean, hey.
Yeah, you do, man.
Put it out lesson there, learned, I guess. You got to. That's what we'll see. And I think it was kind of funny. We're talking about Steph Curry for a second here, and he caught a lot of flack for it. It seemed like at the time, but it was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar made the comment that he was like, dude, he's like, hey, he's like, Steph Curry's a great player, but Steph Curry would not have the success he had in my day. And he goes, because guys like that got full court pressed.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Kareem Abdul, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it was Kareem. It was because he was talking about players. A skyhook. He was like, because he was saying this guy has a specialty shot, the long range three. Yeah. I had a specialty shot, the skyhook. And guess what people started to do to me when I found all the success with the skyhook.
Shut that shit down.
He's like, they would double team me.
Yeah.
They would, when I got to within a certain distance of the basket, they knew that was my zone. They D'd the shit out of me. He's like, sometimes I still got my skyhook. He goes, but my percentages went way down. And he was like, nobody's full court pressing this kid. And he was like, just why? He's like, I don't know why.
And I've heard in a lot of national basketball podcasts where it's just like, a lot of it boils down to effort. You got people who don't want to go out that far, and they'll like, hey, we'll wait for him to kind of come up.
And Steph Curry's just
that's on people like Durant and Westbrook and leaders of any team, not just ours.
And Curry's just making people pay, just hurling like 50-foot daggers.
Shit.
Yeah, he's like, cool, you want to wait till I'm within 30 feet? I'll hit you from 40.
Yeah.
Oh, you came out to 40? I'll hit you from 50.
Yeah. And he only needs half a foot of space anyway, so it could just be a 30 and a half.
Yeah.
Right here, fuck you.
You're
not on me enough.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Steph Curry's ability to hit those threes is just transcendent, dude. It's like, it's insane. But you got to wonder if somebody just, I guess I'll put it this way. Dennis Rodman wouldn't have let that shit happen.
Well, look at we're going to talk more about the media covering the team here in a second. Look how, for the long, and we brought this up, I think, when we were talking about Cameron Payne too, where it's just like, oh, the defense, that's all we're talking about. The defense is bad. And not to say that the defense in certain games was not horrible. It was. But then we turn right around in the next game, play Golden State, and it has this, playoff feeling, and we give a shit, and everyone goes out there and puts a bunch of effort, and our defense is rock solid. I mean, then what about all these weeks of shit you've been writing about as far as how the defense is bad?
Yeah.
Yeah, the defense is bad. Why?
Yeah.
Why is it bad? Is it because the certain player's not doing his rotations? We're missing a key player. Why? I want to know why. I don't want to just hear the defense is bad. And we've talked about how that's just kind of lazy.
And
it's easy to report that type of stuff.
I think the Thunder can beat almost anybody without really playing defense, except for teams like Golden State, San Antonio, Cleveland. And they can play Boston and not really play a lot of defense and still blow them out.
Yeah.
They just did.
Yeah.
They can even do it to the Trailblazers.
And they can have a bad game and maybe lose to them too. That's just regular
Now they've
season
lost
basketball.
some of these games where I'm kind of like, a little defense you probably would have won it.
Yeah.
But I think it's almost like, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if the rest of the league, especially the Eastern Conference, it seems like, but even after you get past the top 5 teams in the West, the talent level, or not necessarily the talent, the challenge level falls off so much that you get put to sleep. You play a 6-game stretch and you play Sacramento, Then you go and you play, I don't know, Pelicans. You go play Utah. You go
recently,
play.
we just went on and we played the Celtics and the 76ers. Who
Yeah,
gives a shit?
and then you turn around and then who do we play next? Say we play Golden State next. It's like you've basically played 2 games where you can just like show up and probably win.
They rested Ibaka.
Yeah, and then now you got to play Golden State, who's the best team in the league, and I don't know. I just don't know if I'm not a professional athlete, so I don't know. Getting up for this many games, it's just a grind. I don't know. Golden State seems to be able to get up for him. San Antonio seems to be able to get up. What was it? San Antonio set a I don't know if it was a record or 34-0 at home this year.
Yeah,
crazy.
And I think Golden State's going to match it. They haven't lost at home yet.
Have they not?
No.
Okay.
I don't think. I don't think anybody's won every game at home in a season yet.
Oh,
there was
really?
one team that came close. I think it was the 86 Celtics. They went. What do you get? 41 home games. They went 40-1.
Wow.
So the bar's pretty high, but I mean, it looks like.
Can you imagine if both of them went undefeated at home?
Yeah. And that's kind of the quiet thing, Everyone always bring up like, fuck, San Antonio's like a few games back on them.
Yeah, it's like they're 4 games back.
Like, yikes! I mean, granted, they just lost Manu for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
What
he got
happened?
hurt. I can't remember. Leg. Maybe he's just being old and he pulled some shit, or he had an injury. He had. That's kind of what he does the past few years. Is he goes out for a few weeks, and that's what's crazy about the team. Sometimes they don't even need him.
Playoffs. You could say.
Hey, I don't know. You said it. Conspiracy, UFP conspiracy, right there, man. Which, hey, I would do that shit. I'd be like, yeah, this guy, man, twisted his ankle.
Well, see, that's why I think it's. I mean, I'd say it could be a conspiracy, but if it is, it's because it's such a silly system where they can't just say. I mean, as much as I think it would be.
How do you prove that?
Like if Golden State
Or
right now
enforce it?
just said, "Shit, man, we're number 1 seed." Like, if it gets to a point where there's, like, say, 4 games left in the season, and they're like, we could lose these last 4 and still be number 1 overall seed. Resting Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. They ain't playing. They ain't fucking playing.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I totally get that.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Well, yeah, why not?
But I think everybody would be up in arms like, I want to see Steph
Well, that and
Curry.
especially the records at stake as far as the best record, so people.
But it's one of those questions,
get involved,
like,
and I'm
who
like,
fucking cares?
I
At
know.
that point, man, I'd be like, dude, we're looking
give
for
a shit about
titles
your
here.
record. What about your rings?
Yeah, that's what we're looking for. But yeah, so I don't know. Anyway, so go on about what were you on before? I think I got us off on a tangent or something, maybe.
No,
or?
we're fine.
Okay.
Well, I was just kind of referencing Cameron Payne and that type of stuff, and just how everyone's just kind of blindsided by what's going on with him. And
you had the skinny on this like over a month ago.
yeah, it was
Like
before the
you
trade
were like,
deadline.
this is what's going to happen. He's going to have a reduced role because we're going to bring in a vet, probably, is what you thought we should do. And he's like, if that happens, this is what's going to happen. I think you even might have said something like, everybody's going to be like, where'd Cameron Payne go? What's wrong with him? What's happening?
Yeah, it's
and you're like, it's
clockwork,
not going to
man.
be, it's not going to be anything wrong with him. It's going to be that we got a vet.
Yeah.
That there's a reason to get the vet.
Yeah, and that, not like I said,
Nothing against
a few
Cameron
minutes
Payne.
ago. Not that he can't play.
Yeah, no.
At all. Like he just needs to be benched or sent to the D League and whatever. No. Or just there if somebody gets hurt and we need him. No, like who doesn't need to play? Fucking Kyle Singler, man. Especially in the playoffs. Like I like that guy to a certain extent, but like there's some parts of that Golden State game where we had some lineups and Kyle Singler's out there guarding, I think, Steph Curry. I'm like, what is going on here? What weird fucking strange universe?
Maybe they're thinking he's taller than him, so
I don't
that'll
know,
work.
man.
I don't know.
It was just blowing my mind. But I was kind of like, building up like it goes back to. That's not particularly being blindsided by Cameron Payne is what I'm talking about. Not particularly being blindsided about him and not knowing what's going on with like the rotations of the team. It has to do with like how the team's covered, but it also kind of plays into what we've talked about too, where we just don't know a lot of basketball as much as we know other sports here. But it's also going to get into kind of what I'm talking about here in a minute. I brought this up to you before we started recording, and you kind of just stopped me because we were going on rants, and it made
I was like, no, we need to record this.
And I listen to a lot of podcasts, and
how dare you, sir?
I know,
Traitor.
Hey, I listen to ours. I kind of have to,
The Benedict Arnold of podcasting.
But I listen to Bill Simmons' podcast a lot. A lot of people might be, oh God, or hey, I like that guy. He's actually got some. I had the same sentiment towards him, especially with the Harden trade, and we're going to talk about this later.
Yeah.
As far as the Harden trade.
The dude is he can be entertaining. I mean,
Yeah.
I got nothing against Bill Simmons. But like you said, after a while the Harden shit was just like a broken record. I was like, I get it. You don't like the trade, dude. It's been 3 years.
Yeah,
we get it.
He had a guy like what I was saying is, I listen to a lot of podcasts and I listen to so many that I get busy and sometimes I don't hear stuff, the day it comes out or hell even the week. I'm usually about 2 weeks behind. And he had this guy on called Bryan Curtis, and I think he worked with him at Grantland before that whole Grantland thing went down at ESPN.
It was about the best thing ESPN had going for it was Grantland.
Yeah, I know, and they wouldn't say that, but
yeah,
that's its own topic too. He had him on a show, and it was a really good show about like just media in general and how people cover things and how it's changed a lot, and also how political journalism and shows and people trying to cover things relates a lot to sports media and that type of thing. And we're actually going to get into this, I think, in some later episodes, but that's for later. But it reminded me of a piece he did last year, and he actually kind of talked about it in the show a little bit. And it was covering Oklahoma City Thunder, the team, and the media around it, and how the team handles it and stuff like that. Let me see if I can pull up the title for it, because this is what I was kind of thought was interesting. It's titled "Distant Thunder." What did Oklahoma City's media do to piss off Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant? And just from the title, I figured it'd be so much more about Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant specifically, because we've talked about with friend of the podcast, Steve. He brought this up, and this is why I'd like to have him on for other episodes concerning the Thunder.
We need to get him on for an episode where I totally get pushed to the background and you and him just fucking
go
jaw about fucking the Thunder, because I'm not gonna lie, dude. When you guys start talking about it, dude, I just kind of just listen for the most part. Because I think it's interesting. I'll chime in from time to time, probably say something fucking stupid.
Well, he talks about he would talk about stuff that kind of like with Cameron Payne, and this would be like years, like say with Scotty Brooks, he was like, that guy needs to be fired, and this was like 2012. I don't think we even made it to the finals yet. He's like, that guy needs to be fired.
But it was kind of funny because when he did get fired,
about that.
When he did get fired, I think he was like, we picked the worst time to fire him.
Yeah, we did.
He was like, I've been saying forever that we probably need to move on from him. Nothing against Scott Brooks, but we need to move on from him. And then when we finally did, I think, and we'll have him on and he could say his piece about it, but I think he was like, yeah, I'm glad they did it, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, we picked the worst fucking time to do it. If we're going to do it, we shouldn't have done it when we did it. Yeah. So it was almost kind of like, dude, you're in for a penny at this point. You're in for a pound. But,
And when it plays into what we were bringing up earlier, like, do we really... I mean, I know as far as skill-wise and what the team's been able to do, regardless who the coach, do we really expect to win the finals this year with a rookie head coach?
Yeah, I mean, I guess
really?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if we won it.
No, hell no.
But I won't be surprised if we don't.
Yeah.
For starters, forget Billy Donovan for a second.
Look at the team.
Look at the team and look at the Spurs and the Warriors right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that too.
I mean, those guys are just playing on a different level, and I think right below it is the Thunder.
Yeah.
But I think right now the big prize fight is everybody's thinking is, dude, Spurs, Warriors, Western Conference Finals. And hey, not to say the Thunder couldn't sneak in there. Yeah. The Thunder are probably the only team that could get by one of them. But they're kind of don't even know what kind of fucking team they are yet. And also,
basketball's huge about chemistry.
Yeah, and like you said, you got a first-year coach. I mean, what... I don't know what Billy I always thought Billy Donovan was a more defensive-minded coach anyway.
I literally had no idea about. I knew he played he coached at Florida.
Because
I knew he got hired by the Orlando Magic for like 5 minutes, and then was like, "Oh, hey, guess what? Never mind."
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't. That's
you gotta think like players like Joakim Noah came out from his
Al
program.
Horford.
Yeah, Al Horford. So I mean, it's kind of. I don't know, but either way, like you're saying, he's a first-year coach in the NBA.
Yeah.
I mean,
and this will kind of play into what we're going to talk about as far as
it's not Jimmy Johnson to Barry Switzer, where you already had the proven product, and the guy just walked away from it, and a new guy comes in and goes, "Oh, Just keep doing what you guys have been doing. Sweet, another Super Bowl. I'll take that ring.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's not like that. It's not
No,
like, you know, if Steve Kerr walked away from the Warriors right now and
like
say
his assistant did with Steve Kerr being gone. Most
yeah,
of the
like
season.
say Steve Kerr was gone all this year. Hell, Luke Walton. They were going on these, you know, this huge run with Luke Walton. Imagine if Steve Kerr never came back and Luke Walton won a ring. You'd be like, well, the product didn't change. It was the same. It was already a proven winner.
Yeah.
And so that's the Thunder are a proven success.
Oh yeah,
but they are not a proven champion. No. So sorry, I mean, you come in first year. I do not expect him to win, and I hope guys like, you know, Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant aren't thinking in their head. And I don't think they are. I think they're smart enough to, hell, they're playing the damn game. I think they know. Yeah, this isn't like, you know, this isn't our last chance here. Yeah. It's only their last chance if those guys leave.
Yeah, or hell, even in their career. Which
they have to know that. Yeah,
but
and they have to know that
they're very young.
Yeah, they have to know that the only way that the Thunder are done if they don't win it all this year is if those guys decide to go, which, you know, it's perfectly their right.
Yeah,
they want to go somewhere else, they go somewhere else. But yeah, I think it's a bit what do you want to call it? Delusional to think that it's just going to happen this year.
Yeah, kind of a touch.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
I can understand going like, man, we've got, you know, a really good team. We've got really good players. If Billy Donovan can figure out, you know, how to coach them.
And they can work amongst themselves.
And
Sometimes they can, nothing to do with the coach.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, the most important thing for a coach is like that last couple of minutes, you know?
Yeah.
When to call those critical timeouts, you know?
Or not to,
yeah. And so, and like you said, he's kind of shown sort of some signs.
Hey,
that
we're out of a timeout. Hey, Kevin, go get a 3.
Yeah. There's no like, what were you saying? You're saying like that coach, the Boston coach, young guy,
Brad Stevens.
Yeah, like, you know, you thought it was kind of cool how he would just be like.
Yeah, and that's something that gets brought up in this Bill Simmons show I'm telling you about. Like, he's always praising him just because he's got a lot of control, a lot of ideas.
Yeah,
you know, and you can tell that just from how he calls his timeouts and what they do coming out of it.
Like, he's not scared to call a timeout just to try something different.
Yeah,
which is. When you have a young team like him,
we'll let our guys roll up. Hey, it's like 2-3 seconds into the shot clock. Fuck it, 3. You know, and sometimes that's okay, but like, get into those droughts.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if it's like their philosophy is like shots per game. Like, we're just going for SPG, man.
I don't know.
I don't know. We have like, you know, we win this % of the time and we shoot this many times a game. So we're just going to go for like, it's like the Oregon football on a basketball court, you know, we're going to run this many plays.
Yeah.
You know,
shoot this many threes. Or he just made a 3, I have to answer this.
Yeah.
You know?
And apparently, and obviously, you know, like, again, the Thunder are having a decent year. It's not like they're, you know, in the basement. They're number 3 in the West still, I think.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't look at it like, well, they could be number 2 or 1. Yeah, but number 2 and 1 are like playing on this just fucking next fucking level.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Golden State's like, yeah, we have 4 losses or something or whatever they have.
And they're making it look easy too.
Yeah. So
we have to like kind of work at this shit. We're trying to figure it out. They've done it.
Yeah.
They've done it, and like hell with the Spurs, they've done it multiple times.
Yeah.
And they're just like, hell, let's do it again.
Yeah.
It might have been a blessing we got knocked out by the Clippers last year. Hell, we got a summer off. You know?
Yeah, we're going to get rested up for next year.
God, yeah, it's...
So, I don't know. Anyway, so you were saying, though, about...
But this all kind of plays into this Bryan Curtis piece that I mentioned just a minute ago. And I brought up to you when I came in to record this. And it's just about how Oklahoma City is... by far, and as Bryan Curtis says, there's no competition, that we are the worst team to cover from not just, you know, our local guys that are like working with the team and maybe for like the Oklahoma and other publications, but also from like an outside perspective, like nationally, they try and cover the Thunder, and it's just a pain in the ass.
I
which
get the feeling,
always is.
I get the feeling that Area 51 isn't as closed off as the Thunder is.
You might, yeah. That's kind of like how this piece plays out, and he goes in and he interviews Barry Trammell, and he actually talks to a bunch of different beat writers and people that cover the Thunder.
Which Barry Trammell supposedly, he's the one that Russell Westbrook had like some beef with, or an axe to grind or something with, right?
Yeah.
Like, which I guess you'll get into why that was, because I can't remember
a little
exactly
bit, but I'll get into some stuff that's kind of interesting about it. Okay. Yeah, they just don't have any access to him, which, you know, you kind of reacted to that when I first told you about it before we were recording. Like, well, what's new about that? Like look at like Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
He's just like, no.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Fuck your mother. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's technically answering.
Yeah. Give me my Skittles and let me go.
But, and like I said from the title of this article, you would think, oh God, it's just nothing but Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook's fault because they're like, Kevin Durant's had some comments about the media.
Yeah, like he said something about the media, and then he came out like I had to come back, like or he did. I don't know if he had to, but he decided to come back like a day later and be like, "No, I love you guys."
Yeah, because he was like, "I don't like them." He had that whole ordeal, and that's kind of talked about. This was a year ago, but that's kind of talked about a little bit in this article, and it's just the fact that they don't have any access to this team.
Yeah,
and I'm not talking about people nationally. I'm talking about people that work for the Oklahoman. I'm the beat writer that follows the team around and talks about this, that, or the other. There was just some crazy things about like they're in there trying to get a recording or talk to some of the players, like mainly Westbrook and Durant.
Sure. And
there's always a guy there just basically holding their hand. And like if it gets into any kind of small talk or they're just kind of chit chat, it might go down an avenue. I don't know. We don't want it to go. That they're just like basically just rushing them off or getting them away. There's a piece in the article where it's about like someone kind of catches, I think it was Durant, and he's just casually talking to him, and someone actually didn't happen to be there, and someone sees it like down the hallway, and they're just like running, like, hey, is everything okay? What's going on?
Don't say
and the writer who was there trying to talk to him was like, to say it was awkward, it would, that would be a bit of an understatement.
So it sounds like this is an organizational thing, like the organization.
And that's what I was talking about. Like you would think it'd be more about Durant and Westbrook, and maybe it is to some extent. But
maybe they've gone to the organization and said,
it is the team, and I don't want to have, the reaction you kind of had, and plus I'm sure people would have listening to this would be like, well, there's always some kind of level of control,
sure,
that some people want to have
because of the culture we live in. Like you say something
superstar,
yeah. I mean, it's because we do live in the culture where if somebody if your superstars decide to have an opinion that's different than anybody else,
or something gets taken out of context so easily,
or if they just want to have a strong opinion on something, all of a sudden it's this huge fucking story, and it's open in the fucking newscast. Did what Kevin Durant say, was that sexist, or was that racist, or was it ableist or something? And you're like, and now Kevin Durant's like, are you kidding me, dude? No, I just said that.
And that's what I'm going to be saying a lot of, talking about this, and plus talking about how journalism happens in the state. It's like, not to say that I mean this, or not to say, I'm going to be doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a problem in itself. But look at like these people, I'm talking about, they don't have any access. Like he interviews Darnell Mayberry, and he asks him like, how many one-on-ones do you get with like the main players of the team? You know how many? 0.
Really?
None. And that's what I kind of think's crazy is like, the Oklahoman sells it, and as they should, like, well, these people are, they're the insiders, and they're the people that are like, they're going to tell you the ins and outs. And I'm like, what if they're not allowed any access?
What are they really going to be able to tell me?
They can tell me all sorts of stuff, but what's the difference between some guy who really knows a lot about basketball writing a blog on his website he just created, and this person who just has a different outlet? Oh, he works for the Oklahoman, or he's on the radio, or whatever.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, I guess the only difference would be like
he just got a bigger audience.
He gets to be there during the shoot around.
Yeah, and some of these, like, I don't know specifically about the ones that cover the team for the Oklahoman, but and a lot of the media, some of it are, and this is what makes them really good, I think. Some of them are former players, and that's what kind of gives them the insight. Like, I love listening to Jalen Rose.
Yeah, that guy's a trip.
Just because he'll stop, he'll be talking about stuff like this and be like, "Yo, this guy he plays like this. He's got the dribble. He uses his like little things like that, and it has nothing to do with how the team works. It's just like this guy just can't do that as far as his game. Or
and plus, whenever he just does like NBA story time, it's just entertaining as hell.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I mean, although I think he's much. Overall, in my opinion, I enjoy listening to Jalen Rose a lot more than I do, say, locally Jim Traber.
Yeah.
But when Jim Traber goes into like baseball story time,
then it's kind of
just compelling as hell. I'm like, I don't even.
Was there.
Yeah, I'm not even really that interested in baseball, but man, I'll listen to this dude talk about some, back in 1883 summer league in New Mexico, blah blah, and you're just like, he ran into this player who acted like this and did this, and you're like, holy shit, man, that's some cool stories. Like whether or not they're true, I don't fucking know, but it's just like, I guess it's former players really. Gosh, it's almost like you need a former player if you're going for like
Look at like one of the best NBA shows is TNT, and it's got Charles Barkley, Shaq, and Kenny Smith.
Kenny Smith, yep. So that's
and you could not you have everyone has their oh God, fuck Charles Barkley sometimes because he says some silly shit.
That's why Charles Barkley is the greatest. Charles Barkley doesn't give a fuck, dude. Charles Barkley will just say what Charles Barkley wants to say.
And sometimes he's right,
Sometimes he's right, sometimes he's wrong, sometimes he's way out in left field. But you're like, this is Charles Barkley,
it's just the perspective,
Charles Barkley, to me, Charles Barkley is a personality.
Yeah.
And he has, of course, he does have a lot of knowledge. The guy's he was an incredible player.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he got to... one of the best conversations I ever heard him talk about was whenever him and Shaq got into their little brouhaha, like on the court. Like whenever he bounced the ball off of Shaq's head and stuff and all that. And just hearing them jaw back and forth about it, it was just hilarious. Just to hear them talk about it, years later, it's just entertaining, man. It's entertaining to listen to former players talk about the game.
Yeah.
As I guess, common sense would tell you. It probably, if you're going to get some enjoyment out of listening to people talk about the game, it's going to be guys that used to play it. So, anyway. But what I was going to say to you, though, too, is, and I don't know if you were going to get into this a little later, but, so, you have, like, the Thunder that are so closed off, and you get, like, none of this access, and you have national outlets or national writers
they're just
and
like,
stuff.
fuck the Thunder.
Yeah, they're just kind of like, dude, the Thunder are terrible.
And, there's some kind of element of, like, especially me being from Oklahoma, and, like, you take some kind of pride in that, too, because they are outsiders. And, they don't know. They don't really know what Oklahomans think. And that there is that aspect of it, too.
But then the team also does it to the Oklahoma writers, too. So
exactly. So, and it's also like...
It's not like there's no, like, club you can get into.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is it just surprises me, though, that you don't hear... And maybe you do. I just haven't seen it. I don't pay a lot of attention to local media in general, really. I pay enough attention to it to be like, yeah, that's not really the story I was looking for there, so I'm moving on. But that you don't hear any sort of, like, if I were a writer for the Oklahoman and all of this were the case, my next story would be about why is it so hard to get access to this team.
And that's something I kind of talked
about
before we started recording, like, well, if you barely have any access now, because every now and then, like, these writers will get thrown a bone, and they're like, oh, wait, cool. Like, Barry Tremel, I think, in this article, he's like, the team gets a hold of him and finally they're like, hey, we're going to give you a one-on-one with the player. And he's like, holy shit, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's 7 minutes with Nick Collison. But you take what you can get.
Yeah, you take... I guess what I'm saying is it that...
He's actually got a quote, and this is what I wrote down. It's like, we can never be mad at people we never have access to. And my point would be, like, look at Cleveland and LeBron. That there will be people in that media or in the local media that will say bad shit about the team and or LeBron. Not like bad, like, well, we hate them as people.
No, yeah.
But just criticizing
his play, decision making, something like that.
Just all sorts of things. Like, I mean, we could go into the whole thing with the coach, how the teams have problems.
Sure.
They lost. He's supposed to actually be winning championships. I mean, we could go into a whole...
Sure.
Here, it's kind of like, well, they'll just play soft. Like Darnell Mayberry, he had a good thing where he was talking about, like, and we've brought this up in one of our earlier podcasts, where teams have their own media, and it's people that work for the team. So they write all these. Oh, hey, the Thunder are great, and hey, look, they're
that just seems like so. like
it's softball.
It's like
shit,
1984, man. Dude.
Yeah, and that's what
it's like
Darnell
propaganda
Mayberry kind
pieces,
of alludes
man.
to. He talks about like it really really makes journalism shit because they're so soft on the team, and then it makes it look really bad if, like, say he wants to then do a critical piece. It makes his critical piece look even worse. Like, oh, he's just an enemy of the team, and he's just out to get us. And they kind of like this article kind of brings up, like, is it a chicken or the egg kind of situation where, like, what causes this? Is it the players themselves, like, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook going, fuck the media, and then the team kind of latches onto that, or is it the team trying to? They've got so much control, and you like mentioned that that spat with Russell Westbrook and Barry Trammell.
Yeah, which do we even know what that was over?
If you read the article, I'm trying to remember what it was.
Okay, it was over.
I think he goes and he asks. He was asking Russell Westbrook a question, and he was just like. He just kind of looked at him. He's like, "No, you know what? I just don't like you."
Yeah, but I thought it was because I thought Barry Trammell had written a piece that had obviously pissed off Russell Westbrook, and
maybe
so then,
he did. That's what nobody knows.
Okay, so then whenever he went to ask him a question, Russell Westbrook was like, "I'm not going to answer your question because I don't like you." And it was
I just don't think
I
honestly,
as shit.
Like Barry Trammell, I think says in this article, is like that's the first time he's actually ever acknowledged my presence,
which
like
is strange because
he even knows who the fuck I am.
Yeah, and I mean that just seems really unprofessional of Russell Westbrook.
And something that goes even further into this article is like how look at someone like Barry Trammell, he's not like buddies with someone say like Bob Stoops, but he can write about him and maybe they can have a disagreement. And he's like, I can go into his office and we can have a chat about it, and figure shit out, and there's a mutual understanding, and look at like that level of access. Hell, he's in his, he's talking to him right there. It might be off the record, maybe it's not, but there's none of that shit going on with the Thunder.
Yeah,
and
which is just again, like I'm saying, I don't understand why. Like you're saying, you don't want to burn a bridge, and I'm kind of like, well, there's really not a fucking bridge there. Like even if it's like, oh, every once in a while we throw you a bone, and you can come talk to, even if it was Kevin Durant. One time a year you get 6 minutes, 7 minutes with Kevin Durant. I'd be like, you know what? I think, I mean, I could be wrong. People would be more interested in hearing me write articles about how archaic, like, y'all's organization is as far as media access. Like, I mean, what is, I almost think you could get access by writing opinion pieces, just supposing, like, so... I'm left here, I asked for access to these players, this organizational person, whatever. I can't get it. So I'm left to wonder, why is that? What would the reasons be that I couldn't get access? Does Nick Collison have a speech impediment? Is that what they're trying to hide? Stuff, I'm not saying necessarily that, but just saying, like, is there something they're trying to hide here?
Is somebody not getting along with somebody else?
Yeah, is there some drama going on that they don't want to spill out? And then I think maybe stuff like that would get you access more than just being like, please,
you might be right about any other team.
Please. Well, even the Thunder, dude, just to be like, I mean, what would Barry Trammell have to lose? Honestly, I'm not calling out Barry, but Barry Trammell to me is the most well-known sports writer in Oklahoma.
Yeah, of course.
So
he does some really great things, and then he does some really shitty things, and like I think But
if Barry Trammell wanted to stick his neck out, and I'm not saying he has to. I'm not saying he's obligated to. I'm just saying if Barry Trammell wanted to stick his neck out, that dude's got the clout in this state. I think to do it. Yeah. Because if he stuck his neck out there and said, hey, this is horse shit, and here's why I think it's horse shit. I'm going to write, forget me being a sports writer, I'm going to be a journalist right now. I'm going to write a detailed account of my attempts for access to this team. And hell, I'd even say it'd be great if the Oklahoman, it's the Oklahoman that he works for, paid for him to go, say, down to Dallas and just try to get access to the Mavericks and see what kind of access an outsider can get to the Mavericks. And I'm pretty sure they could probably finagle it where this guy, he'd probably get a sit down with Dirk Nowitzki and talk with him. And just be like, yeah, hey, I write on the Thunder usually, but hey, don't have a lot of access to him. And fucking Dirk Nowitzki would probably be like, who knows? Probably say something halfway funny to him in response to that or something.
Yeah.
And then you could just come back to Oklahoma and be like, okay, so look at this. Why the fuck is this place like Fort Knox? It's a basketball team. It's a fucking game.
Yeah.
I get you guys don't want drama and stuff like that.
They write these pieces that are like, just, so generic. Or we were doing an episode, and I think I went home, and there was a Thunder game on, and ended up watching it. And I usually don't watch the after game press conference and shit like that. But I texted you about it because I think we had done an episode kind of criticizing a Barry Trammell article.
Yeah,
and we were playing.
I'm almost starting to understand if this is so.
And this is why.
If he gets no access.
Let me walk you through this.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
We're playing the Rockets, and Billy Donovan's up there giving his his press conference and taking questions, and Barry Trammell asks him like this, to me, like one of the dumbest questions ever, and it was you started hacking Dwight Howard, and it was just like, I don't know, remember, it was like the third quarter, whenever it was. It's like, you started hacking Dwight Howard, and he started missing some foul shots, and we ended up going on a run there. Was that your intent? And I'm like, just for starters, I'm like, no, we wanted him to, make every free throw and go down by 10. Yeah, that's what we would want, right?
Yeah.
So one, I just thought it was stupid from that point of view. But Billy Donovan responds back and just gives him this generic answer, just, there's no I in team, we wanted to do this, that type. And he went on for 2 or 3 minutes, just giving the biggest non-answer ever.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was stupid. Next day, Barry Trammell has an article out. And I don't even remember what it's about, but he took just little clips of shit Billy Donovan said in there and played it all into what he was already writing about. And it was kind of like he had already had an article written. And then just hey, well, he said this, and what he was actually referencing what I'm talking about. No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
But he made it sound like he was.
Okay.
And so that's what you get when you get this type of non-access shit, where it's just they're just making shit up, man, on some level.
Well, and plus, and also,
do they cover the team?
Maybe because of stuff like that,
as the games are going on,
you have to
right
blame
there.
journalists too. Then, if that's the case too, though.
What's that?
Well, because if Barry Trammell's going to do that, if I'm Billy Donovan, I'm gonna be like, well, shit, man, this guy obviously I wasn't talking about this, but he took it and made it seem like I was.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be a lot more guarded when I talk to him now than I already was, because he's going to take shit I say and just piece it out and make it seem like I said something else.
Yeah, but they could say anything and he's going to do it anyway.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you don't have these sort of canned responses, the perfect answer to the, were you guys hacking Dwight Howard, blah, 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 I'd be like, yes.
Yeah.
Next. You know what I mean?
I don't know why a lot of people don't do that anyway. Why, like I said, he gave a huge generic answer for 2 or 3 minutes. Why don't you just... No.
Yeah.
Just, next question.
Yeah. That's, to me, that's the easiest way to be.
Or if you want to be a little bit, that's kind of like Popovich,
Yeah, but Popovich
But you can be like, no, we didn't want to, and I just didn't think that was right. And maybe give him a sentence and just, next question.
Yeah. No, that was just a happy byproduct of that happening.
Yeah.
Worked out for
I
us.
would totally troll these people.
Yeah.
If I was somebody like
that. Popovich is the best at it.
Yeah.
Popovich just, whatever. But Popovich, but again, it's even Billy Donovan. Dude, these
and
guys,
that's why, because 90% of the questions are what was the key to this run?
Yeah,
what was
they're
the
dumb
key
questions.
to your win?
Yeah.
What was the key? What's the key? Oh,
but that's,
God.
That's just overexposure, and
true,
like I said,
true.
That's using your opportunities to ask dumb questions, which, whatever. I don't even know. But to me, though, it just seems silly that they have such guarded access to a team. It just
I guess as far as this Bryan Curtis is concerned, when he wrote this piece and it came out, the Thunder were pissed.
Really?
Oh yeah, because it's how this is bullshit. How dare you
point out the obvious?
Basically, yeah. And then I think he said in this show he was doing Bill Simmons, the next day, in Sports Illustrated, there's this great piece about Russell Westbrook or Kevin. They're doing great with charity, and they're doing everyone's holding hands, and
Yeah, which is great, but that has nothing to do with the actual story of the team.
Yeah.
Which that's great. Those I don't think anybody needs to say. Yeah, Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant and almost all the players on the Thunder, almost all the players on all professional sports teams do a lot of community work. Good on them. Good on y'all.
And not that you shouldn't report it or anything.
Yeah, no. If you want to report
but
it,
you can tell it was in a complete reaction to this.
Yeah,
I like we've talked about this. Is talking about this. This is why I kind of think it plays into shit like Cameron Payne or stuff about like, look at like, Billy Donovan. Is he actually going to be a really great coach, or is he there just to be told what to do by the team?
I don't know.
Everyone speculates, if it's championship or bust, and we've got to do good, or Kevin Durant will leave this year. What if it's the exact opposite? What if it's Kevin and Russell are so happy here because their hands are being held so much, and they can do whatever they want in this small market, and they like the not the huge exposure.
Sure.
They like the small town feel of it.
There's something to be said for that.
Yeah, and we've talked about that, and I've talked with friends. That's always brought up. Like, hey, they like not being able to walk down the street and that type of thing.
Sure.
What if that plays into like they're not planning to do anything, and this is just a total game of as far as they're concerned to just do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And we don't criticize them for it, really. We will sometimes. Like, that's something else that's brought up in that article is people would be so quick to blame the Oklahoman for Kevin Durant leaving because of the Mr. Unreliable headline.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's it.
Yeah, that's
and they're actually worried about that.
Dude, if that's all it takes, dude, man, if that's what it is, if that's truly, which I don't think it is.
No.
But if that's truly something that makes him leave, I hope he goes to some big market, and then I'll be like, just wait, dude, Mr. Unreliable.
Yeah, go to New York, dude.
Mr. Unreliable's the least of your fucking worries.
Yeah, no shit, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be, dude, they're going to be fucking, like, looking into your mom. They're going to be, who knows, dude? They're going to come, they're going to dig up all the fucking dirt they can.
That's something else that you bring up.
You.
Like, I went to a preseason game a couple years ago with the Nuggets, and we ended up sitting, like, second row. It was amazing, and we were right behind Kevin Durant's mom. I think maybe his brother. I think he's got one. And at the time, he was engaged to, I can't remember her name, but it was a WNBA star.
Yeah.
Do you remember her name?
No, but I can find it.
Well, they ended up not getting married. And you know what the local media wrote about it? Nothing.
Yeah.
That's kind of my point. Like,
if in L.A. or New York, that would be a huge story.
Oh, yeah. Or they'd have something about it, like, and it's not even to criticize the guy. Here I am again going, hey, well, it's not to be like, I'm not
Monica Wright.
Monica Wright. Yeah, what the fuck happened?
Yep.
I don't fucking know. And maybe there was something written nationally about it. I haven't gone around looking about it. But, yeah, nothing here.
According, this is some, national stuff.
Yeah, and that's my point. Like, I have to go to out of state. She blames it
on a difference in religious beliefs.
Okay.
That's why they split. But this is I
never even knew that until
USA
right now.
Today article.
Yeah.
A Madame Noir article, the Christian Post. I'm not seeing any nothing. No Oklahoma City or Oklahoma news outlets here at all. These are all national, or I've never heard of them before. International Business Times. Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, SI.com. Up on the third or second page, about 20 down, KOCO.com. Oh, and this is just Kevin Durant.
They're probably just taking a link from one of those other places.
No, this isn't even about their breakup. This is about she's showing off her engagement ring at a game.
Yeah, because it's something good.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, we don't want to talk bad about them.
Yeah, which again, I mean, yeah, that's his personal business, but it's anywhere else it's going to be reported.
I'm just saying it plays into all this shit.
Yeah,
like, oh, Cameron Payne, why isn't he playing? And like I've told you, there's an element of there's a lot of casual basketball fans. I don't know a lot about basketball or follow it a lot. I mean, hell, this time of year, we get to playing like 4 games a week, and it might be against some crap teams, and I'm busy. It's really easy to just miss 3 games. You know, even if you're trying to tape them or not, or record them on DVR or whatever. But you're not helping people out trying to understand this shit. You're not. They're already maybe not very well informed. But then you add that on top of it, and they're really not informed.
Well, and I think, too, though, it's kind of strange, even with this sort of, what do you call it? What do you want to call it? Kitty gloves, like, approach to these players that the organization the organization, the players, or everybody in collusion has created for the Thunder. You still have, them being dicks to people. Like the whole thing I talked about with Russell Westbrook. I don't know who it was.
Anthony Slater.
Yeah, he was typing up on a laptop or something, or doing something like
sitting in a chair.
Like sitting in a chair, and Russell.
Or I think he came in late or something, and he came in and grabbed a chair and.
Yeah, and like Russell Westbrook comes over and he's like, chairs are for players only, and so this guy's like, oh, okay, and like he gets up, and Russell Westbrook I guess pulls the chair away, and fucking Reggie Jackson gets up out of his chair and slides over and he goes, here you go, man, and lets the dude sit back down. Yeah,
that's in this article too.
Yeah, and it's kind of like that's a pretty dick move on Russell Westbrook's part, and. All they said about Reggie Jackson when Reggie Jackson left was all the problems with Reggie Jackson. You know, when Reggie Jackson left, it was like, I mean, I got the impression from everything that was written that, like, dude, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook were basically like, don't let the fucking door hit your ass on the way out.
Yeah,
dude.
And you know, maybe
see ya.
I'm not, and that's not to say like Westbrook's a piece of shit as a person.
That's not.
But that's my point. I don't know.
Yeah,
somebody tell me, was he having a bad day?
Yeah, but again, here's a clear example of Russell Westbrook being a dick.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, everybody has bad days or off days, or you just, you're an asshole. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But here's an example of him being a dick, and then here's an example of a guy that supposedly was, when he left, everybody made it seem like he was kind of a piece of shit, being a pretty cool guy, and saying, hey man, here's my chair.
But he obviously didn't get along very well with Durant and Westbrook.
Yeah,
that's kind of that's another story. Like other places, you would have some little insider knowledge about.
Yeah, that would have been a bigger deal.
And there's no fucking idea about what was.
I mean, they were balling over themselves whenever Harden left.
Yeah,
and okay, so whatever, and then Reggie Jackson leaves, and hell, this was on the heels too of. I mean, Reggie Jackson kind of saved our season. In that series with I believe it was the Spurs.
Yeah,
I mean.
He ended up being that next guy.
Yeah, I mean, it was and I understand he wanted to start, and hey, he got a big deal, whatever. I mean,
I'm actually kind of interested in that because the Pistons might be making the playoffs.
Really?
And he's their head guy. He's their point guard.
He's who they built the team around.
Well, I mean, I don't know about. I think Drummond's probably the guy.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. But that's a good point.
But they've added they added Tobias Harris from the Magic. They got rid of Greg Monroe, and that just kind of added some spacing. We got Reggie Jackson, got rid of Brandon Jennings. I mean, it's interesting, and we talked about, I think it was our very first episode where it's like, well, Reggie Jackson had the starting gig here while Westbrook and Durant were out, but he didn't exactly light it on fire. He's doing, fairly well up in Detroit. I just want to see it, and I'd like to see that in playoffs and see what is he going to do? Was he such a shitty player? I don't know,
Yeah.
We'll find out, I guess. Or if they don't make the playoffs, we won't see it at all. But that team's on the rise either way.
Yeah, doing better than they have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I just hear stuff like that, and I'm kind of like, man, it kind of plays into the whole. Well, we're not going to report on Russell Westbrook being a dick.
Yeah.
To me, that would have been, if I was a journalist, local or not, in the room there, dude, I'd be like, let me take down some notes there. Hell enough, based on the fact that I can't get any access to Russell Westbrook, I'd be like, well, I was part of the, gaggle of people standing there. Yeah. I'm going to report on that shit. I don't need Russell Westbrook to report on that. I watched it happen,
Yeah.
But I guess, like you said, being able to go to the games for free is, these guys want to keep that or something? I don't fucking know.
Well, like I said, they do cover, they're, every game they're there, tweeting, live tweeting, and right after the game we write a little piece, and that has its value too.
Yeah, I just don't know why. It just surprises me that there's not somebody there who's like that's willing to be the villainous, quote unquote villainous, reporter, to be like, when Russell Westbrook goes, well, I don't like you, I'm like, yeah, that's great, man, you don't like me, but hey, guess what? I'm here to do a job, and you've got a job to do too, because you have to talk to the media. So again, do you have any comment on this?
Yeah.
No, you don't want to talk to me because you don't like me? Well, why don't you like me? Let's make my question about that then.
Yeah.
Let me press you, dude. Let me turn your screws a little bit then. If that's how you want to treat me, I'm gonna dig as much as I can on you then, and then I'm gonna make that a story. All these guys fucking around me are gonna be wondering the same thing. They'll be like, "Oh, man, what's this? Why doesn't he like this guy? What did he do? What did he say?" I mean, it just I just
like to go back to the thing between Westbrook and Barry Trammell. The team was pissed off that would clip of him saying that, like, that's going around the world being viral and things like that. Oh, it's making us look bad and stuff. And that's kind of why in future episodes we're going to be talking about journalism here in the state, because there's been a handful of things where I'm like, you're blatantly omitting facts or I understand, twisting headlines a little bit and making it sound a certain way, and you read the article, well, it's actually a little bit a different way, and things like that. I get that. And sometimes doing it for, the headlines, the click, like, hey, that gets me to check that. Yeah, clickbait.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I think the best journalists they're not there to make friends.
Yeah.
If you end up having a good relationship with somebody, that's great. But
you have to have sources and
at the end
like
of the day, dude, I mean, I would think you're there like, hey, I'm Barry Trammell. I got all this access to Bob Stoops. Bob Stoops may fucking hate Barry Trammell. He may. But Bob Stoops is a professional. Yeah. And Barry Trammell's a professional. Mm-hmm. So they can put that shit aside. And I'm not saying that they do. But they may golf together. Fuck, I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, if I were a journalist, I mean, that would be I would not care, like, hey man, KD doesn't really care for you. I'd be like, well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Maybe you should ask yourself why he doesn't care.
It's just like us talking about this, and I'm saying there's no insiders here.
Yeah.
They'd be like, I'm an insider.
Yeah.
I mean, they could be pushed back.
I mean, almost like all you have to do to be an insider is you have to, like, have access to the team in general. Like, well, we get to sit in the bleachers while they practice.
That's pretty much it. That's my point.
That makes you a fucking insider?
Yeah.
Really?
They're like, hey, they're there with them, and, maybe plus I get to... I've got my different outlet, like for the Oklahoman or whatever. Or I'm Royce Young, and I cover the Thunder for ESPN.
God, it's almost like they're fucking treating correspondents like we do. We just fucking we just decide, hey, dude, you've got some, like this, our X-Files correspondent, so somebody who has knowledge.
And that's, we've attacked the radio people before.
And we do it as
they'll go out there and just spout all sorts of bullshit. And they're like, oh, wait, we've got this guy. He's our, like with the franchise, they've got John Hamm. And John Hamm actually knows some shit about basketball and how it works and the cap and other things about teams. There's some things I've seen on Twitter him put up where, I might not agree with his opinion, but that's just the nature of opinions. But they'll have to bring him on from the franchise because they'll have people just spouting out bullshit and they're like, oh, actually he's our insider. There's that word again.
Yeah.
Bring him in and he'll be like, yeah, all that stuff, this can't happen, and it's just like, well, then why would we listen to this other shit in the first place?
Yeah.
Why can't we just listen to John Hamm?
Yeah. At that point, you're just, and again,
why can't he have a fucking show?
That's the line between entertaining and
yeah.
It's more entertaining to have people spouting hyperbole and
this is from
talking about could ifs and what ifs and.
I saw one of these people from the radio the other day like, why Kevin Durant's been kind of mentioned. Oh, like we went and played Boston. They're like, oh, he likes Boston. Oh, is he going to Boston? I don't know. And Eric G from the franchise tweet is like, oh, nobody wants to go to Boston.
Which that's ridiculous.
That's just the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, why would you want to go to Boston? They've only won how many titles?
Yeah, I'm like, and look at like some of the old franchises that have a great system and basketball culture. And you'd say the Lakers, but they're in a bad shape right now. No draft.
But you got to think the Lakers.
Out of the Lakers, the Knicks, and the Celtics, who's even just right now better off as a team right now? The Celtics. They're actually the best one out of any of those teams.
Yeah. Sure.
Got a bunch of draft picks, trade. Got
assets, a good coach,
great coach, like we just mentioned earlier. And no one wants to go there though.
And again, like the Knicks and like the Lakers too. The Knicks and the Lakers. I mean, they could all do it wrong, but those organizations typically are going to throw a lot of money at trying to win. They're going to be serious whenever it comes time to pull out the checkbook. They're going to be like, okay, money where our mouth is.
Yeah.
This may be the totally wrong call, but we'll pay this guy this much money.
And that's something to be said about us, and I think this is something we'll talk about later.
Because I know you talk about Chicago. Chicago's another big market, but Chicago's...
Yeah, so are we. We're cheapskates.
Yeah, but we're a small market, so I can understand.
Dude, it doesn't matter when your owner has so many billions of dollars. All he's got to do is write the check.
Well, fair enough.
It doesn't.
And it's not
matter.
like we're losing money here.
Yeah, and
this team is so popular here.
I think I heard this on a Bill Simmons show like 6 months back. He's like, when oil was high, what does it take to keep James Harden? Just drill another well out of there.
Fair enough.
Like why can't you just fucking keep him?
Yeah.
Why can't you just push over this? Why can't when we had the trade deadline? Yeah, we got Randy Foye, and we needed to plug that hole like we talked about.
Sure.
Why couldn't you just say fuck it, make a splash, go get Al Horford?
Yeah.
And just put us over the edge, win a championship.
Yeah.
Get that win. No, we got a system. We're doing it our way, like this insider bullshit with the Thunder plays out. We're doing it our way, nothing to see here.
Yeah.
We're building our system, and that's fine. But we'd also like to fucking win.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're like you said, I mean, we're one we're one big paycheck away probably from doing
Why
it.
not fucking do it?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. That's
Steve will go off about like the goodwill Sam Presti has, and how one aspect like with the Randy Foye trade, like wow, he's actually really really good at what he does, but what he does is nothing. Why can't we just go fucking push us over the top? Why couldn't we just keep James Harden?
Well, again,
why couldn't we just go make a
But that's
splash,
the
get
thing.
that extra guy?
You may end up having to give Sam Presti more credit because Sam Presti may be the only guy that knows these fuckers aren't cutting that check. I know they're not.
Yeah, and that's
so I have
an owner
to
problem.
So
Yeah.
I have to go. I'm the
definitely
GM.
right.
I don't cut the checks.
Yeah.
I gotta operate knowing that those guys aren't gonna write that check. So
that's
now
exactly
I've
right.
got it. So maybe there's more credit due to him, but maybe there's less if he's not in there going, you need to write this
Especially
fucking check.
with
you
with
need
this-
to just
this
pull out
plays
that big
back
fat
into-
wallet and just drop the Benjamins on the fucking table and get this guy.
And that plays back into price of oil is down, so we definitely not. We're not paying anybody now.
Yeah, well, hell, it's going back up now though. So
Yeah. So
we'll see. I don't. In the end, all this stuff we talk about, energy crisis and everything, and I'm like, gas is cheap, that's good for us. It's more expensive, that's not so good for us anymore, but maybe it is for the state. In the end, it's kind of funny because as much as we talk about it so we're like blue or red in the face, I always know in the back of my mind one simple truth. All those fat cats, dude, they're going to be okay.
Oh, yeah, they're fine.
Now, if they're doing things legally, guys like Aubrey McClendon, he got himself into a.
We're going to talk about him.
Yeah, he got himself. But I'm talking about the guys that are, actually probably I'm assuming on the up and up, that are playing the system, the big business and everything. Oh, I lost $30 million this quarter.
T-Boone, Pickens,
guess what? A
knows.
year from now, I'm up $500 million. So guess it's like last year never happened, baby.
Yeah.
Those guys are always going to be okay, and that's unfortunately part of the system that we fuck. This part of the system, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
We'll talk more about it.
yeah.
We'll come back.
Well, anyway, I don't know if do we have anything else to say about we are
pretty much
hour and 6 minutes, man.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it. Like, this is something that is going to play into some further subjects we're going to be talking about with just Oklahoma journalism.
And we're going to get Steve on here and have another Big Thunder
Yeah,
podcast.
and
Like I said,
playoffs are around the corner. I mean, they're right there. So we're going to have to be talking about all of that, our matchups.
Yeah.
Which
as it stands right now, who are we going to end up like? Who's the fourth
Portland
seed
right now,
Portland?
which is not a team I'd like to.
How we just throttled the shit out of them the last time we played.
True,
them.
but they're a good team, man. Would you rather play Portland or the Rockets?
The Rockets.
Or Memphis, who are missing people.
That's
why I say
Portland doesn't. I'm not sweating Portland too much.
No, I think we could actually.
But you're right. There are teams I'd rather play. It's that next round that's going to be.
What we'll probably be talking about, especially if we get Steve on, it's like, look at how basketball ends up turning into what it ends up turning into in the playoffs, and like how you're always relying on that guy. Like for the Warriors, it's Andre Iguodala. Is he even the top 5 guy on that team? But we need to go to him and rely on him. He's got to knock down these free throws, like he did against us.
Yeah.
Or he's got to make that steal, or that one layup at the end of the game, or whatever.
Yeah.
And us, we're like, man, we really need Dion Waiters to fucking not be a bonehead right now, or Kyle Singler to, that's the difference with our team. We've got the top 5 talent. We got 2 of the top 5 best players on our team, plus maybe the 6th man of the year in Enes Kanter, and Ibaka's declined, but he's great too. That's what's going to be the difference between our team and the other contenders.
Yeah, and this has been, I think it kind of, I don't know how much I think it bears noting, like, a lot of tragedy kind of following this team this year.
Yeah,
like,
that too. And, does that affect...
Like, you have Monty Williams' wife dying in a car accident. You have Dion Waiters' brother being shot and killed.
That just happened.
And then you had, Aubrey McClendon, who's a, minority
How's
owner.
that affecting the team? They're going to do any pieces on that? Other than just going, hey, this happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean...
Probably not.
I know they've done, like, stories on, like, kind of some statements that members of the team
and,
have
especially,
given,
with Monty Williams, like, hey, this is a tight-knit group. It does affect I mean, obviously, you're a human being. It's going to affect you especially if you're one of your coach's wives just get killed. And
and I don't
he's
think
not coming back to the team.
No, Lonnie Williams is and I can't blame him. I mean, Jesus,
there could be more to those stories, and I'm like, they won't get reported here.
Yeah. So and I get. I mean, it is some pretty touchy stuff. You don't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff where I'd be worried about offending somebody.
Yeah,
That's
kind of like with Aubrey McClendon, which we'll talk about him.
Yeah.
But there's reasons to talk about it too, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, just all around, lots of bummers, man.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, I guess. So, do we have anything else we wanted to cover on this particular?
That's pretty
podcast?
much it. We already recorded a podcast with Ryan.
Yeah, so we're going to drop this one first.
Yeah, we're going to drop this one first.
Because I think I was totally wrong in that Batman Superman doesn't come out this week. It comes out next week, I think, right? Okay,
it's like the middle of the week. So
middle of the week? Okay.
We might drop our next episode a little early, maybe,
Okay.
just to get it out ahead of the movie.
We can take a week off, maybe?
Yeah, shit, dude. We're on vacation.
Hey. For a week, maybe, at most.
Yeah. Hey, one's better than none.
Yeah, I'll take it. We've got that Batman Superman where we talk a lot about comic books, comic book movies. I do a really bad impersonation of Batman.
And kind of going back to that episode, like you're mentioning, that's probably a subject we'll go back to a lot because I mean we covered so many different movies and franchises.
Oh yeah,
and you could pick one of those and just do one episode on.
Oh yeah, on
Spider-Man.
And stuff. Oh sure. And I think at some point we probably will do a podcast where we have a guest on of some sort where we talk about our what would we like our favorite superhero movie or something like that, or just which we kind of did with Ryan anyway. We talked about the state of superhero movies, but we spent a lot of time talking about specifically the Batman vs Superman, the hype and everything like that, and Batman and Superman as characters in general.
I did think there was a couple of movies we did forget. Supergirl.
Did we forget it? Like, is that a bad thing?
I liked it.
Really?
So that's my point. So we can talk about.
Gosh.
What about any of the Punishers? There was one in the late 80s.
That's another good reason to forget them.
Yeah, you're right.
They're terrible.
Dolph. Hey, but that's another.
I think that might have been the first R-rated. Punisher was R-rated, wasn't it? Dolph Lundgren's.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because I like to point out too. I said you guys are talking to the fucking master here. Like I knew Batman was rated R. No, Batman's PG-13. 8 crow on that. So.
Something else. I think the one with Thomas Jane isn't John Travolta the bad guy.
Yeah.
So a little preview of what we're going to be talking about in the next episode.
Yeah, no, the Punisher. Yeah, that was the newest Punisher rated R as well. Yeah, so
that one was rated R.
They both were
with the guy that played Titus Polo.
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren and Thomas Jane. Those were both, and they were both just bad.
None of them are good movies. Really.
No.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of bears noting if you're watching the Daredevil series at all. The Punisher's going to be in season 2, and you know who's playing him?
I started watching it last night.
Oh, okay. Have you seen him yet?
Yes, I have.
Good old Shane.
Yeah.
Shane.
He's like, ask you something.
Let me ask you something. So how is he as Punisher?
Pretty good so far. I'm only a few episodes in.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I need to watch that. I still haven't watched Jessica Jones. I need to watch that.
Me either.
So and I hear it's pretty fucking good. Yep. So
did you watch first season of Daredevil?
Yes, I did, and I loved it. That was
so
great.
Did I. More Vincent D'Onofrio, please.
Yeah, dude, Vincent D'Onofrio was great as fucking Kingpin, dude.
I don't want to say it, though. I'm like, I killed my favorite character in that first season.
Who the fuck all died in that movie? Okay. I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Not a good guy. I'm always like,
I know you're talking. Yeah, that guy was really good. Yeah, I like that guy. Yeah, anyway. I like that guy.
But yeah, check that stuff out. And
man, Scott Glennis' Stick was great.
Yeah,
I loved it. I was like perfect casting, dude. I loved it. Loved it. But yeah, no, it was a great series, man. If you haven't watched Daredevil, check that shit out. And Jessica Jones too, because I hear it's really good.
Yeah.
I can't say for sure yet.
That's more. There's more stuff we actually didn't bring up.
Well, hell, Netflix has got a Luke Cage show coming.
Yep.
An Iron Fist show coming, and I don't know if they're gonna tie them all together and make kind of like their own little Avengers kind of movie of sorts.
Yeah.
Because they all take place in New York, right there in like Hell's Kitchen, you know. So I think that may be their aim. That may be what they're going towards, is like a Netflix's own, Avengers movie with Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist against who? Well, you got to think. I would assume Elektra's got to come in at some point. You got to think Elektra's got to come in at some point. I don't know. That's a huge character. And, you got Bullseye. Is Bullseye going to come in? Just don't be calling fucking Farrell.
I know he's in Suicide Squad.
Bullseye is?
Is it Bullseye? He's a
Deadshot.
sharpshooter.
Deadshot. That's Deadshot.
My bad.
Yeah, Will
my
Smith.
Bad, my
Will
bad.
Smith. Yeah. Which that's another movie to talk about. We didn't talk about Suicide Squad
Yeah.
really.
And
So
that's going to be coming out. So that's kind of like we're going to be revisiting. Basically, check our next episode out where we're talking about comic book shit.
Yeah. So,
We're just getting started.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and let's wrap it up. Let's hit escape velocity. Get the hell out of Dodge. So, if you guys want to get in touch with us, critiques, advice, comments, whatever, we've got ufppodcast@gmail.com, @UFP on Twitter, and Unidentified Flying Podcast on Facebook.
@UFP Podcast on Twitter.
@UFP. I thought it was just @UFP.
No,
on Twitter.
podcast.
Okay, @UFP.
You were so close.
Damn
Nah, you're fine. You're fine.
Shit.
People know how to get a hold of us.
@UFP Podcast on Twitter. So anyway, until next time, this has been Drew,
And this is Brad.
and you've been listening to the Unidentified Flying Podcast. Y'all have a good one.